history of Bhagavad-Gītā is that it was recorded 5,000 years ago when Krishna was on this planet, and he spoke this conversation to Arjuna. That's the more recent version of the Bhagavad-Gītā. Previous to that, it was also spoken by Lord Krishna to Surya, the sun god. According to Vedic information, the sun is not vacant. There are living beings on the sun, and in fact there are advanced living beings there, and the most advanced is the deity in charge, whose name is Surya. So he's a very important ruler in the universe. Of course, the sun is so important for providing light and heat and many other things that are needed in the universe. It is not that these things are happening, that the sun is simply an accidental phenomenon that came from nothing and is continuing for millions of years. We don't accept this. The Vedic culture does not accept that things are happening accidentally. In the Vedic culture, actually, there's no such thing as an accidental activity. There is a person behind things. We may not be able to see them in our present condition, but that we should be used to that in our ordinary life. There's persons behind things that we cannot see the persons, but we know that there's some intelligence there. We don't see the persons who made the watch that we wear, but we believe that it was constructed by persons. Even if we went into the factory that was assembling the watch, we might not see the person actually in charge, but that doesn't mean there's no one in charge. It's naive to think that such a precision-oriented universe is going on simply by accident or by chaos or by chance. That philosophy breeds atheism. I mean, it's based on atheism. And atheism is not a very favorable philosophy for people. Because if I think that there's no one in control, then that means right and wrong is also arbitrary, because if there's no supreme being to make the rules, then it means we can make our own rules. And if a group can make their rules, then an individual can make his own rules. So it leads to everyone becoming their own authority on what is right and what is not right. And unfortunately, not all people are qualified to determine what is right and what is not right. So we have a chaotic situation. So that's just a little prelude. The verse we're going to discuss tonight is
text number, chapter 5, text number 17. Page 291.
So chapter 5, text 17, page 291. We'll chant the verse in Sanskrit first. You all get a little Sanskrit lesson, which is nice to see the culture, the language, that the Vedic literatures are all written in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is considered by many prominent scholars to be the mother language of all other languages. So let's begin. First one word at a time.
Tad budhyaha. Tad atmanaha.
Tad atmanaha.
Tat nishtaha. Tat parayanaha. Gachanti. Upana avritam. Jnana. Nirdhuta. Kalmashaha. Tad buddhiyas tad atmanas. Tanishtas tat parayanaha. Gacchantya punar avritam. Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas. Tanishtas tat parayanaha. Gacchantya punar avritam. Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas. Tanishtas tat parayanaha. Gacchantya punar avritam. Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tataka buddhischa tatatmanas.
Tad buddhiyas tad atmanas.
Tanishtas tataparayana.
Tanishtas tat parayanaha.
Gacchante apanar abritam.
Gacchantya punar avritam.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmasha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tad buddhayas tad atmanas.
Tad buddhiyas tad atmanas.
Tanishtas tad parayanaha.
Tanishtas tat parayanaha.
Gacchantya punar avritim.
Gacchantya punar avritim.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tad buddhayas tad atmanas.
Tad buddhayas tad atmanas.
Tanishtas tad parayanaha.
Tanishtas tat parayanaha.
Gacchantya punar avritim.
Gacchantya punar avritim.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tad buddhyas tad atmanas.
Tad buddhiyas tad atmanas.
Tanishtas tad parayanaha.
Tanishtas tat parayanaha.
Gacchantya punar avritim. Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tad buddhayas tad atmanas.
Tad buddhiyas tad atmanas.
Tanishtas tat parayana.
Tanishtas tat parayanaha.
Jananti apurna avritim.
Gacchantya punar avritim.
Janani radhuta kalmasaha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tad buddhayas tad atmanas.
Tad buddhiyas tad atmanas.
Tanishtas tat parayanaha.
Tanishtas tat parayanaha.
Gacchantya punar avritam.
Gacchantya punar avritim.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tad buddhadyana tad amanas.
Tad buddhayastad atmanas.
Tanishtara taparanya.
Tanishtastat parayanaha.
Shantya punar avritim.
Kashantya punar avritim.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmasa.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Tat buddhaya tat atmana.
Tad buddhayastad atmanas.
Tannishtha tat parayana.
Tanishtastat parayanaha.
Gachantiya punarabrittim.
Shantya punar avritim.
Jnana niruddhuta kalmasha.
Jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha.
Word meanings.
Tad buddhyaha. One whose intelligence is always in the Supreme. Tad atmanaha. One whose mind is always in the Supreme. Tat nishtaha. Whose mind is only meant for the Supreme. Tat parayanaha. Who has completely taken shelter of him. Gachanti. Goes. Apuna avritim. Liberation. Jnana. Knowledge. Nirdhuta. Cleanses. Kalmashaha. Misgivings. Translation. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
The principle is that goodness comes from God. Purity comes from God. He is the supreme pure, the supreme good. And everything else that's good and pure come from Him. So naturally, when one is in union with Him through yoga or by linking one's mind and intelligence and soul with Him, then naturally the person becomes purified. Excuse me. Just like the qualities of fire are heat and light, and if a metal rod is put into the fire, it develops the same qualities. It becomes blazing hot, and it has light red. So it acquires the qualities of fire by associating with fire. Similarly, by association, the individual souls acquire good qualities or bad qualities. Originally, the living entities are the same spiritual substance as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Originally and eternally. So we're definitely God's children. Everyone is God's children. Even if someone is not behaving very well, it doesn't mean that he's not a God's child. It just means that he's become contaminated. It's like we see a person is contaminated by some disease. He's still a person. It doesn't mean he's not a person. And he's not an intrinsically bad person, but somehow or other by contact with some virus or some disease, now he's infected. And he needs to be purified. He needs to be cured of that. And there is a cure. So there's also a cure for living entities who have developed impurities. What are impurities? What are some impure qualities that the living entities may have developed? Yes?
Anger.
Well, yeah, unnecessary anger. Anger has its good side, But when anger is uncontrolled or not properly directed, it becomes a very horrible thing, doesn't it? If someone becomes angry, he can harm even his loved ones, or even himself, or many people, or a whole country, or a whole race. So anger, when it's not properly directed and guided, is an impure quality. Yes? Yes, selfishness. That's a quality that we want to overcome. And people are trying to overcome impure qualities, but the best method to overcome it is to cure it, not just to cover it over or to disguise it like something else, or to pretend that one who has a disease doesn't have a disease like that. That's not the real solution. Treating the symptoms is okay, but it doesn't cure the disease. So Krishna consciousness or bhakti yoga is the process of treating the actual disease itself, the impurity. And that impurity, as described in this verse by Lord Krishna himself, is that one has become disconnected. One is ignoring the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can he possibly have good intelligence when he ignores the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's far more intelligent than we are? We all have intelligence, that's okay, and some of us may have a high IQ, that's okay, but no one can claim that they have the same intelligence as God. We can't even figure out how the sun is working. We can't even figure out how a living being reproduces, how an egg can produce a chicken. There's so many things we can't even figure out what makes water so refreshing to drink and necessary for life and cleansing. Water, earth, air, fire, the basic elements of existence are totally beyond our capacity to understand. We don't know how we're making our hairs grow. If you're asked to give an explanation of how your hairs are growing, how are you doing it? You say, I don't know, I have no idea. So his intelligence is greater than ours. An intelligent person then is one who recognizes higher intelligence. If he thinks he's more intelligent than everyone, then that's not very intelligent. So it's like if you don't know how to solve a computer problem, you might try different things, but if you become completely unable to solve the problem, then if you keep trying different things, you may even destroy your computer. Whereas if you hear from someone who knows, then everything can be solved very easily. So Krishna is saying here, read the word again, tad
buddhiyas tad atmanas.
And the translation.
One whose intelligence is always in the Supreme. One whose mind is always in the Supreme. One whose mind is always in the Supreme.
Yeah. Continue.
So you want me to read the translation?
Yeah.
When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
Yes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows everything, and He's the source of all light as well. So the word tama means darkness, and it also means ignorance. So darkness and ignorance, they go together. When you're in darkness, you can't see. we can't perceive things. When the light comes, and we can see. And misgivings go away, because when we're in darkness, we can't see, and we're in ignorance. So, everyone's looking for knowledge, but where do we get the perfect knowledge, the highest knowledge? We get from Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we can get all the knowledge that there is to get from Him. So we can have as much knowledge as we want. And that's not just a statement that we have to accept, we can test it. We can test it by reading Bhagavad-Gītā and see for ourselves whether Krishna's words are truthful, have potency. Of course, it depends on the hearer also. The hearer has to be capable and qualified. At least he has to be neutral at the least. He's neutral to hear some transcendental knowledge that will enlighten him. If he refuses to open his eyes and he wants to remain in darkness, then although God can force him, Krishna can force him, but he doesn't. He lets him remain in that state, and he tries to facilitate him as far as possible. But we can't expect him to be able to. It's like the owl doesn't like to come out during the daytime. He prefers to remain in another place. So he cannot see the sun. But those who are willing to see the sun, when the sun rises, it's very difficult to not recognize that this is the sun. There's no imitations. Let's read the purport.
Purport. The supreme transcendental truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad-Gītā centers around the declaration of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature.
Now, the Vedic literature is considered to be the oldest literature. And it's proclaiming that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And rather than just declaring it, there's a thorough explanation. What are the qualities of the Supreme Being, Bhagavan? Bhaga means opulence, and Van means possessing. So that's another name for God, Bhagavan, one who possesses all opulences. And opulences may be summarized into 6. Aishvaryasya, one who has wealth. Viryasya, strength, that's another opulence. Aishvarya, Viryasya, Yashasya. Fame is an opulence. Shriya, beauty. Jnana, knowledge. And Vairagya, renunciation. So one who has all these opulences in full is considered to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to declare an ordinary person to be God is a great mistake. It's very misleading, and it's not helpful to anyone. Even if you're trying to praise someone, you want to encourage them, it's not advised to praise them that they're God and try to worship them. That's a grand mistake, because you don't get the same thing by worshiping something that is not the absolute truth as you do from worshiping something that is absolute truth. Just like if you eat some good food, good healthy food, you get nourishment, you get taste. It solves your hunger. But if you eat something that looks like the food, but is not really food, then you don't get any of those favorable things. In fact, you may even die. So we don't want to be misled by those who suggest that this person is God or that everyone is God or what have you. It's a very important thing in our lives. It's not something that we can eliminate. Well, I just don't believe in God. For me, it doesn't matter because I don't believe. That doesn't mean that it's not an important thing in your life. If God exists, He's very important in everyone's life because He's maintaining everything, He creates everything, He owns everything. He's the dearmost friend of everyone. He's the most intelligent, He knows. If He doesn't exist, then yes, you could say it's of no interest, it doesn't matter. But if He does exist, then He's very important. And there's evidence, sufficient evidence to indicate that He exists. Someone's maintaining all the living entities by some amazing arrangements. All the little insects are getting their food, the big elephant's getting his food, the fish are getting their food, creatures that live in the earth are getting their food, they're getting water, they're getting warmth. Someone's made quite an arrangement. We have difficulty arranging even for the maintenance of a small family. What to speak of unlimited living entities. And we see order and intelligence in these things. Even a little seed, let's say the seed of a banyan tree, small seed, but in that little seed there is enough data and enough materials to produce in association with the earth and water and sun and air, etc., not independently, but in association with the other elements. A gigantic banyan tree can be produced that in turn produces millions of other seeds that can produce millions of other banyan trees that produce millions of other seeds. What kind of an intelligence is that? What kind of an intelligence is it that creates a body that when there's some injury, it heals itself? What kind of intelligence is it that even when it's cold outside, you go outside, it's 20 degrees, but if you put a thermometer in your mouth, it comes up 98.6. How's that possible? What kind of intelligence is that? I didn't even know there was a thermostat system in my body. I didn't even know there was a heating system. It's all incorporated. And how did it start? It started from a little seed. That little seed had intelligence built in for a heating system, a reproduction system, a digestion system, everything. Even Darwin admitted that the intricacy of the workings of the eye, the human eye, were simply beyond the possibility of chance. He said that such a thing could have come about by chance is ludicrous. And yes, it's true. If someone is going to put forward the theory that everything is happening by chance, the eyes, with its ability to focus and let in light and exclude light and do different things that it does, then someone should be able to prove that this is all happening by chance, by creating another living being that can do these things. Even a small one, even a mosquito, if a human being is too advanced to create, why can't they do it? If it's happening by chance and they understand it so well that they can declare that it's happening by chance, they should be able to reproduce it. It's just a mechanism. But that's not possible. Continue.
Paratattva means the Supreme Reality, who is understood by the knowers of the Supreme as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Mata parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmano pratishtaham.
There's no truth superior to Krishna. There's no higher truth. As we're looking for truths, what are the higher truths we're looking for? As you say, selflessness, or peace, or eternality. What truth are you looking for? Love. What are you looking for? What's your highest truth? Whatever it may be, it's all in Krishna. Knowledge, realization, freedom from suffering, kindness. Whatever truth you're looking for, it originates from Krishna, janma tasya taha. So when one links with Krishna, then all the truths are included. As Krishna says, everything is resting upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So how can we leave God out of anything? But we've become expert in trying to leave God out of everything. He shouldn't be. We're so rebellious that we're leaving him out of everything, even religion, which he is the goal of religion and the origin of religion. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat praniham. We're trying to leave him out of that as well. Everyone can do it their own way. Yatamata tatapata. Everyone can have their own religion. So it's a dangerous situation when we're so adamantly trying to remove God. And actually he's the best person, the supreme person, the most merciful person, the most a beautiful person, attractive person, wealthiest person. So Krishna consciousness is providing a service for the world to bring them back to God, back to Godhead. And God is a person. God is not just impersonal energies. Energies are under his control, that's a fact. This universe has so many energies, especially 8. Who can say the 8 primary energies of the Lord in the universe? Yes?
Earth, water, air, fire, mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Yes, those are called the 8 primary elements, separated energies. And there's another energy that's superior to those. Who can say what that is? Mahatattva? That wasn't what I was referring to. Krishna Prema means love of Krishna. That's certainly a supreme state of consciousness, but specifically there's another energy that Krishna calls superior energy. The 8 we just mentioned are the inferior energy. Raise your hand if you think you know. Internal spiritual energy? Yes. That's correct. That's a correct answer. However, Krishna is very specific. He says, Aparayamitas tvanyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhuta mahabhaho yedam taryate jagat. The eight energies mentioned here are his inferior energy, but the superior energy is the jiva, the living entity. And that's superior because it has consciousness. So he's a person that has energies. All the energies are working under him, and the living entities are his superior energy. But if they don't act according to his wishes, then they become covered over in illusion, thinking that they are the bodies that are made of material energy. They actually think they have become, for example, the soul inside a body of a dog. The living entity inside this. He's the same living entity as he has the same quality of existence and consciousness as God. It's completely spiritual. The soul is completely spiritual. But in illusion, he's become overwhelmed by Maya, which means illusion. And now he identifies with the body that he has and thinks he's a dog. How degraded. He thinks he's a dog. And what is a dog? A dog is just a combination of material elements, and the false ego makes him identify himself that I'm a dog. And when the living entity is in a human being body, he thinks I'm a human being. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm an American, I'm an Indian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a Hindu. These are all material designations. They don't apply to the soul proper. It's like if someone's wearing a black coat, he thinks he's a black coat. And someone's wearing a striped shirt, he's a striped shirt. That's false identification. Because you can put on the black coat instead and he can put on the striped shirt, and then has he become a black coat? No, it's a false conception. Continue.
Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the supreme reality, one whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness, is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge in everything concerning transcendence.
It's practical. Krishna consciousness serves a practical purpose because, for example, one of the big problems we have in the world is crime, criminal behavior, violence to others, stealing, so many things. So what to do about it? Society doesn't really know what to do about it. They're having a very difficult time with it. So they're just coming up with different treatments, but it doesn't really solve the problem. But if we train the living entities in the pure activity and the pure consciousness of Krishna consciousness, then naturally they'll be unattracted to criminal behavior. Naturally the unpleasantries of a diseased state of consciousness will disappear. If we cure the disease, then the fever is gone also, the sore throat is gone, the high blood pressure, all the things that are undesirable, the loss of appetite, weakness, they all go away at once. So Krishna consciousness is what's needed in the world to solve all the problems. It's the one solution that solves all the problems. But part of the qualification for becoming Krishna conscious is one has to give up ignorance. One has to be willing to give up ignorance and be willing to humbly take advice from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And some people would rather die. There's a story about a stubborn man. There were two men, they were sitting and talking, and while they were talking, a bird flew off the tree. And so wait a minute, am I getting this straight here? If I get off, please help me with it, because I haven't told this story in a long time. So one of them said that I'm mixing two stories, so it's simplified. They were having a discussion, and one of them said that this piece of paper was cut with a knife, and the other one said it was cut with scissors. That was the discussion. So it became heated. Both of them were saying, no, it's definitely cut with scissors, and the other one said, no, it's definitely cut with a knife. And it became so heated that the man who said it was cut by the knife said, if you don't agree with me, if you don't stop saying it was cut by scissors, I'm going to put you in the water and drown you. And the other man defiantly said, it was cut by scissors. So the man who thought it was cut by a knife, he picked up the other man and put him in the water and held his head under the water. And he was very strong, so the man under the water couldn't come out, but he put his hand up and he went like this. He was indicating that it was cut by scissors. He was so stubborn, he wouldn't give up his idea. That was the point I was trying to make, is that we're so stubborn. We'd rather almost die than accept our inferiority to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that there could be someone greater than us. Are there any points of discussion thus far? Yes?
When I look at, where we are in our society, in America, in most of the world with so much consumerism, materialism, and so devoid of spiritual growth and spiritual essence and personal realization. I wonder how likely it will be for humanity to survive and be able to get closer to Krishna consciousness.
Well, there's a good system in place. The design for the material world is that there are 4 seasons, 4 ages, and they rotate like the seasons, but they're very long. These ages are in the millions of years, and the 4th age is the age we're in now, which is the most degraded age, and it lasts a total of 432,000 years, of which 5,000 is past. So it will continue to become more and more degraded for that period of time. But then, that's okay, wait. Oh, wait a second, let me finish this. So, when that age comes, then that's a very virtuous age. So everyone then, all the living entities at that point become very enlightened quite easily. And also sometimes, even in the midst of the darkest age, the Lord Himself may come to bring light. Just as in the darkness of night the sun rises and gives light of His causeless mercy. It's not up to us. It's not that we take a vote and we decide that the sun must do it. He's not under our control. So it takes divine intervention. And if the Lord comes and He gives enlightenment, or sometimes He sends His representatives to teach, just like Vyasadeva wrote down, he was empowered to write down the Vedic literatures for the people of this age who couldn't remember them. They needed to refer to them again and again. So, yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. The Lord will come to dispel the darkness of ignorance and irreligion. Yes, sir.
Going back to your parable, what does a good person do? Does a good person say something he does not believe and say yes if the paper is cut by a knife? Does a good person say, you and I are being silly to argue about something that doesn't matter?
Yes, that would be a good thing for an intelligent person to. Why engage in such a fruitless discussion that has no bearing on, it's not important. That's the point. So, so how does that relate to the idea of being so, I was especially stressing the stubbornness of being unwilling to accept that the possibility of God is there, that someone could be more intelligent than me, and that I should at least keep an open mind to hear about that. That was the point. Thank you. Any other? Yes. You can pass the microphone back. I think it needs to be turned up slightly. Oh, it has to be turned on also.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. So you mentioned that the living entity is not able to perceive or understand this material world or everything as Krishna created. So I'm thinking if a living entity can understand a process of Krishna consciousness, if living entity can fully understand how is it working, all the process what Krishna is giving us.
It's working because the question was, if we can't perceive God or Krishna in our experience with our senses, which is correct, we cannot, then how can we realize God? By devotional service. Devotional service means that one abandons the idea of trying to understand God simply with his intelligence or his mind. And he takes a leap of faith and agrees to serve, to render some service. Someone may say, well, I'm not going to serve anyone unless I'm sure that they exist. I'm not going to serve anyone that I cannot see. I'm not going to serve anyone that I don't have complete confidence. We can have so many reasons for not wanting to serve. I'm not convinced yet. So we can go on in our own way trying to understand, but that's not recommended, and that's a very long process. I'll give an example. If someone's trapped inside a bank vault and he can't get out and it's locked, and so he's spinning the tumbler trying to figure out the combination, but he doesn't know it. How long will it take him to figure out the combination? It could take longer than he has lifetime. He could spend his whole life just spinning that thing. But if someone outside says, is anyone in there? And he says, yes, I'm in here. He says, would you like the combination? You say, no thanks, I'll work it out myself. So that's foolishness. But if we take the higher knowledge, someone has come to help us, and we take the combination and we apply it, then we're free. So Krishna is offering to help us. That's what he's saying in Bhagavad-Gītā. Krishna is saying, I'm here for you. Just put your intelligence in me, put your mind in me, think about me. Manmana bhava mad bhakto, madhyaji mam namaskaru, mame vaishasi satyam te pratejane prayosime. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me, and thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. So we have to become a friend of Krishna. We have to put our faith in Krishna. We're putting our faith in so many lesser things. Putting our faith in teachers, putting our faith in books, putting our faith in our own ideas, our own opinions, but not much faith in Krishna. So then the result of that means we have to continue cycling in the system of birth and death. We have to keep taking material bodies and going through the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, and dying again, and taking another body, sometimes as a human, sometimes as a subhuman. Or we can solve the problem quite quickly and just go along with Krishna's plan and get liberated, get out of this suffering condition. But we're stubborn, that's the point. No, I won't do it. Why not? I want to figure it out myself. But trying to figure it out yourself may take millions of lifetimes. I mean, the number of combinations and permutations of that, what do you call it? The combination for the save. Even if you could try 1,000 turns per minute, which is probably more than you can do, still how long would it take you? Millions of years. Do the math, right? We have some mathematicians here. Let's say that the tumbler has 100 digits. So what are the chances of you coming up? You don't even know how many numbers are in the combination. You don't know whether to turn left or right to start with. So based on chance, your chances of getting out in the next 10,000 years is very small. But if you take knowledge from someone who knows and is favorable to you, by his mercy, you can get out in a few seconds. So you decide, do it yourself or take help. You got a point? Here?
One last question. I was wondering. Oh, I forgot it. Okay. So this world is so like dark, and there's so much keeping people. It seems like influencing people to make them believe that going towards a higher intelligence is the wrong thing. That we should be focusing on ourself, our ego. I'm thinking like this is a false thing in our society, maybe a demonic force, I don't know. What's keeping us from realizing that it's a good thing to listen to intelligence and to greater intelligence? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the disease. And when everybody's got the disease, or most everybody's got the disease, then that's the kind of reasoning you'll expect. That's the kind of rational or irrationality. When you're in a big hospital where everyone's got the disease, you have to expect that they will show the symptoms of that disease. And one of the symptoms is irrationality, not unwillingness, a lack of humility. We're so arrogant that we even say that we're conquering space and that we're going to solve the problem of death very soon. I remember reading in 1980, one medical leader in Time magazine said, by the year 2000, death should be obsolete. We're making such rapid strides in medical advancement. Well, that was an arrogant, foolish statement. And there have been many other and we're making foolish statements now also, that we're going to conquer this and we're going to solve that problem. And so we have to remove the arrogance. But all these things are difficult to remove by ourselves, but they're easily transformed back into their real nature. In other words, the real nature of a soul is to be intelligent. He's also intelligent. And he's Sat, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So we just have to go back to our real state, get rid of the disease. And the disease is forgetfulness of Krishna. So how do we remember Krishna? One very important way for this age is recommended to chant his names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. When are they ready? Ready now? So I think we'll stop now. It's time for Arti. There will be a ceremony for about 25 minutes. And then a few short announcements after that. And then they'll be serving the feast, the transcendental vegetarian meal that's been offered to Lord Krishna. Thank you very much for your kind attention and questions. Hare Krishna.